And just a reminder that anytime we're looking at any of these tools, we want to be considering the students, the environments, the tasks, and then looking at the tools, always through a lens of equity to make sure that every student is getting exactly what it is that they need. And today I'm going to pass it over to Joe Schingen, who is the Digital Learning Coordinator for the Duluth Public Schools and has been a regular guest here on AT Office Hours because he's got so many great things to share. So, Joe, I'll stop screen sharing and pass it over to you.
Oh, thanks so much, Julie. Always a pleasure to join you in your lunch group. That's what I'm calling you guys. This is a great lunch group. And yeah, Julie and I talked about doing a short series about some tech ed and some of the newer tools. And by request, people were asking about Classkick. And so I want to talk about that a little bit today and then have us actually experience it. So Classkick is kind of like Seesaw in that you can create assignments and assign them to your learners. But the difference and the things that the students can do on Classkick is very similar to Seesaw. They can highlight, they can draw, they can write, they can create. All those like cool tools that Seesaw has are part of Classkick. The difference is that the teacher in Classkick can actually watch all of the learners making progress. And so it's a monitoring tool that's really, really nice. And you can see them making progress and give them real-time feedback while watching. Good stuff. Even if you had all your students in class on devices, it could be a way for them and for you to let them do their work, but also monitor in a way that doesn't require you to be breathing down their neck, literally. And so we're going to do that. So I'll just show you really quickly a little bit of Classkick, and then I'm going to invite you by code, actually it'll be a link, to just jump in as a student, and I'll show you what it looks like from my end, and you can see what it looks like from a student's perspective. If you have any questions, by all means, right, Julie, just jump in, and you're not interrupting at all. Just ask questions as they come up. All right, so let me just show you a little bit about Classkick from a teacher's perspective. All right, so here I am in my account, and again, it's very straightforward. I mean, I have my I can have different classes, and when I look at my assignments, I have my assignments listed. If I want to create a new assignment, it's a green plus sign, just like you would see in Seesaw or Canvas. And if you wanted to create a new assignment, you can create one from scratch, or you can browse the library, just like Seesaw, and there's a ton of stuff in there. And that's actually what I pulled in for us to do today, is just an assignment that already exists. And when it's ready to go, I simply assign. Doesn't this look familiar? So I can share this assignment I created with colleagues. I can assign to students with the code. And yeah, add it to a folder that is shared with others. And so when I click assign to students, I select a roster, and it will give me this code right here. And so when I click on the code, I get it, I copy the link, and I am going to put it in the chat, and you guys can see what it looks like. You'll be surprised, I think, to see how easy it is for students to proceed with this link. So there it is in the chat. Julie, if others join us, I can re-add to it, or maybe you can. So if you go ahead and click in, it's just going to ask you your name, and then you can go in and start to tackle that assignment. And look what's happening. If you want, you can jump back into the um, jump back into the screen share, and you can see what's happening here. I've got all of you are showing up, and it's showing me which pages you've looked at, and when they're complete, it'll like highlight and open up the next one. And so the view that I have is that all of you are in, and oh, here we go. So Shannon is already circling stuff and underline. I can see it in real time. It's so cool. I love it. And I'm able to track and watch students making progress. And so if I wanted to, I believe I can click in and see more specifically what kinds of things people are doing on their slides if I wanted to. And from that closer view, I can move from student to student on that specific slide. So as a teacher, while I'm monitoring progress, I can see where people are at and how they're doing. And I can score slides as they go, which is pretty cool as well. In the top right of your screen, while you're working on your slides, you can see there's a hand that's up, or a hand top right, and that's kind of a raised hand, and that is a way to ask me for help. So a hand can go up. So everybody's making progress. Sarah is really flying. Sarah's hand is up. So I'm going to click on Sarah's slide. And then if I click on her raised hand, it opens up a chat. What can I do for you? And now, Sarah, if you want, this is, you should be able to see that I sent you a chat, and you can chat back what you need. Or if we're like in a virtual setting, you can just say what you need, or even raise your hand for real. But if it's kind of a private question, this would be the way to go. Here we go. All right, cool. So Sarah sent me a chat back. This is just between the two of us, that she's not sure about number 3, right? So now we can work together on that, right? So again, a nice feature. It's a lot of open doors for learners, cool tools. And this assignment I gave you basically kind of gives you an idea of the tools that students can use. And so, yeah. So completing your assignment isn't necessarily the number one goal here. And so if you'd like to come back to the meet, and again, just to even see what I'm sharing, you can really see what it looks like from a teacher's perspective. Um, let's unmute and just talk a little bit about how you see this working. Is this something that um, you would want to use in your class? And if so, what might that look like? Go ahead, Sarah.
Would you see this as, um, would you see this as like a good tool, especially like for special ed students, or is there anything along those lines that would be even more helpful for those students that have a higher level of need within the tools, I guess?
Yeah, I like that question. I think students who want to go, you know what I mean? And so it kind of changes the role of teacher to more kind of resource facilitator, coach, support. So for students who want to just go, I think they'll love this. They'll get right in and start tackling the work.
Yeah.
And also for teachers who have students on devices but are struggling with some of that device usage management. In other words, I'm up front, they're on their device. I'm not sure what they're doing. And it takes teachers out of the kind of policing role or having to, engage in some kind of confrontation because they can't stop going on YouTube or whatever. It can change the conversation, I think. And if you have a student who everyone is kind of on slide 12 and beyond, and you have a student who's on slide 2, you could send a quick note and say, everything all right? Do you have any questions? What's going on? And it just, you know what I'm saying? Like, it looks like you're maybe stuck. What can I do for you? And it gives them an idea like, wow, okay, so the teacher is monitoring us and there to help. I better stick to it.
Right. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So Shannon put it in the text or in the chat. I can see my 4th grader liking this program because if he uses the raised hand, other students won't know. Yeah. The one-on-one support. And that's good stuff. And you know what, Shannon, the crazy thing I think is that these needs have always existed. And this is a great example of how technology can open doors for kids who have some anxiety, would prefer to not raise their hand and ask their question in front of the whole group, but they want to learn and they want to be successful and they want to do well and they want to engage if it is safe to do so. And I think part of it is like, let's not do Classkick because it's cool and neat and new. Let's talk about why it might actually benefit student learning and might enhance what I can do as their teacher, like more ways to help, I think is the right way to look at this technology. And really any kind of ed technology is more about how can this enhance and not just be like a cool, shiny new thing. So I appreciate you coming in with a parent perspective. Other ideas or thoughts? Julie, go ahead.
Yeah, so I just was thinking in terms of, you basically we're talking about student advocacy, right? When they need help reaching out for it. And this just makes that jump so much smaller, right? It's a lot less to raise a hand on a computer screen for many students than to physically raise a hand in a space where everyone is looking at that and seeing that. So I just want to reiterate that piece when you're looking at students who have advocacy goals and objectives to ask for help, this can be a great tool for targeting that.
That's right. Love that. And depending on the culture in your classroom or in your practice, celebrating students along the way or saying, Annette finished or tackled slide 6 like with some serious skills. You should check that out and like have kids walk over, what'd you do? Because they can't see it, right? Based on what you're seeing on my screen, I can see everybody's progress and I can click in and see how they're doing and check for understanding, etc. But they can only see theirs. And so I think there might actually be a setting on Classkick that does allow if you want. But again, we kind of been around that block with Seesaw. But to say, here's an expert in our class on this part and on this part and on this part, and finding safe ways to celebrate kids and finding safe ways to get that culture to where students are able to help one another. Like, I know how to do this, but I don't know how to do that part, but you do. And teachers are often the one that are able to say that, so we have people who are really good at this part and really good at this part. Let's work together and get through this as a team, a community. And again, just the technology can sometimes just hand it over for you and make it a lot easier. So yeah, this is a unique thing. Classkick is unique. There's not really anything else out there that does exactly this. Class-wise kind of monitors tabs. Seesaw allows you to create cool stuff and allows your students to create cool stuff. Plickers allows you to assess students without other students being able to really see how they're doing or if they're right or wrong. But there's not something like this that does it all in one place and is free. You don't have to build a roster. You can just give them the link, just like you did. It took 1 second for them to add their name and start working. Other thoughts about Classkick or how you might see this in action in your classroom, at your school, with your students? It helps to hear how people would transfer this into their own practice. How long does the link last? Great question. I believe the link lasts indefinitely, but there is a setting that allows you to have an end date where the link does come to a close.
Joe, is there a place you can go to see how you've scored those for that assessment piece?
Yeah, let me jump on there. That's a good question. Let me go back to, okay, so here I have our group, the lunch learners, right? And I can see that I had one raised hand. Grades, I would have to click on, and let's just see what that does. That might have adjusted something in your view as a learner. But I think I would have to, yeah. So I can click in and I believe give a score here, or I'm just checking to see if there's something at the end. There is not. I believe if I wanted to, I would have to go into each slide and score it that way. But if
Sure.
but I can go horizontally or vertically. In other words, I can take all of Alora's work and score it, move to the next slide, score it, etc. Or I'm on slide 2 or I'm on slide 3, I can score Alora and then I can go to the next one. And you know what I'm saying? And so if I had, let's say that the work to be completed was for the whole week, if I wanted to, I could wait until we went over it on Wednesday. They completed it on Wednesday and Wednesday afternoon or Thursday morning or whatever. I can tackle that slide and score it. you don't have to do all of the work and call it good in one sitting, right? You can do the work and walk away, and it just auto saves where you're at. So, yeah, basically, if I go back to this view right here, Julie, and I see my learner, their score, I don't know if you can see that very well, but their score out of 32 points would be here. So yeah, and I don't, yeah, oh, I see. Yeah, I can adjust overall how many points I want to have each slide be worth up here. So yeah, I think there's still like kind of some exploring there, but kind of at first look, it seems like a really nice tool. You can give stickers, and I think with feedback and stickers in your own view, I believe there's a little bell up on the top right, and if that is lit up or colored, it means that you have some feedback. Yeah, so that's Classkick, and again, it's free. You can, I'll put I can put the link on right now if you like. Yes, helping teachers be awesome. So true. That's the link to Classkick, and you can log in using your Google account. And again, you don't have to build a roster. It merges with Google Classroom, but you don't need to. It merges with Clever, which, by the way, for you Seesaw users in the Duluth Public Schools, Clever is coming back. It's going to be something that is put into place so that every enrollment, everything that we do in Infinite Campus is mirrored in Seesaw, which is really nice. So that exists, and then we can pair things like Classkick to Clever and any other wonders, and the math one. What's the math one? I forget. Yeah. Anyways, I can't remember what the math one is, but all that'll be kind of taken care of and nice and smooth with Clever. So this could be a tool of the future. People discovered it while remote learning, but personally, I think it's kind of going to be a nice tool for in class when we're in a blended model where our students have devices, and we want to have kind of a yes and environment where they can complete their work and us out of their way and they can complete their work, but we're still able to see and help them and support them in a meaningful way. I'm excited about that. Do you see this being something that is viable for middle school, high school? What do you guys think about that? Do you think it's designed for, 5th grade and like 1st to 5th? Yeah, that's what I kind of wonder, because we're going to be in a blended model for, potentially K through 5 now. So yeah, that's all I have. Julie, back to you.
Thanks. I personally think it would be a great tool for all ages. I mean, I don't know. I just think it has a lot of potential for all the reasons you outlined. So, huge thanks, Joe, for bringing this today and showing us this tool. If anyone still has any questions, of course, we'll continue to hang around for a few more minutes. Feel free to raise your hand, unmute yourself, type in the chat window, whatever works. I will stop recording now, but Thanks again, Joe. I really appreciate it.
My